Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
It's Ham Radio.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live, episode number 215. The family that hams together. If you make that a verb, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we're recording this live on Thursday, June 4th, 2020. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Andrew, KN4VKX, Ryan, KN4VKW, and Blake, KN4VKY, and they're all Pearsons. And we'll take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week here on the show, Dr. Paul Jaffe, KJ4IKI, was here to talk about gathering solar power in space. So if you missed that show, make sure you listen at hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. You can listen anytime to those replays. And remember, the show is rebroadcast every Saturday on WTWW. That's 5085 AM. And the new time is 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday afternoon. So 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Central Time on WTWW is when you will hear us there. We've moved up about 4 hours there, so that's the new time. I do have three or four things to talk about here before we get started, and I know you want to get into the topic right away, but there are a few things I need to talk about here real quick. First, we are putting together another Ham Talk Live t-shirt order. We haven't done one of those in about a year. So if you're interested, they're $20, which includes U.S. postage. If you're outside of the U.S., we'll just add on the price difference on the shipping for international. Go to hamtalklive.com, click on the hyperlink, and fill out the form to order, and we're going to cut that off on June 15th. So if you want to get your order in, make sure you do that by June 15th. Secondly, a programming note. Don't forget the Field Day question and answer show with Paul Bork in on SFE will be on June 18th. Now, that's a week and a day before Field Day. Usually we do it the weekend of. There's been some rule changes due to the pandemic, so if you still have questions, you'll be able to get those answered live on the 18th. And to get you ready for that, don't forget the 100 Watts in a Wire podcast is having the tune-up on June 12th through 14th. It's a chance to test everything out, get ready for Field Day, so check them out at 100wattsinawire.com. And then lastly, some sad news came out this morning. The Huntsville Ham Fest announced that they did have to cancel this year's Ham Fest. Mark Brown, N4BCD, gave me a call this morning, make sure I heard about it, and talk a little bit about the decision. And he may call in tonight. He had some obligations, so I'm not positive that he's going to call in tonight, but he may give us a call tonight, and if so, we will interrupt our normal programming for just a few minutes to bring him on, and he can tell everybody about what's going on. And if not, I do have some information here that he emailed me. So we'll see if Mark has a chance to call, and if not, I'll fill in for him. So we're going to talk to the Pearsons here. If you're listening live on Thursday night, after the interview, you'll be able to call us. So let me go ahead and give you the phone number so you can write that down and have it ready. It's 859-982 7373. Again, it's 859-982-7373. You can also tweet us on Twitter. We are at Ham Talk Live. So I'll be back with the Pearsons right after this word from ICOM America right here on Ham Talk Live. Get out and be active with ICOM's new IC-705 and its optional multifunction backpack. The IC-705 is your perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers in a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilogram or just over 2 pounds, with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz, and a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall. It runs 5 watts with a battery, 10 watts with a power supply. It has sideband, CW, AM, FM, and full D-Star functions, a micro USB connector, Bluetooth, wireless LAN, micro SD card slot, integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger, and the speaker mic comes standard and supports QRP operations. The perfect accessory for your IC-705 is the optional backpack, LC-192, with a special compartment for your IC-705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
The grass may be greener on the other side, but at least we don't have to mow it. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Thanks to ICOM America for sponsoring the show again tonight. Make sure you check out all their fine radios at ICOMAmerica.com/amateur. Ham Talk Live's on the air every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time at hamtalklive.com. My guests tonight, the Pearson family. We have Andrew, who's the father, KN4VKX. And Blake is KN4VKY, and he is 12 years old. And Ryan, KN4VKW, is 11 years old. And Mom, Jacqueline, is out working tonight, so we couldn't get Jacqueline on the air. But guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. We're glad to be here.
Thank you. We're glad to be with you tonight.
Well, these guys all became technicians, all three of them at the same time. June in 2019, became generals in July of 2019, and they've been building their ham station with some help from their club, the Williamson County Aries group, down in the Brentwood and Franklin, Tennessee area. And they've had a lot of support from their Elmer RJ, KC4LRR. And the boys are active members of Yacht, which is led by Ed, KG8CX. That's the Youth Amateur Communications Ham team. They have a net for young people every week, and you should check them out. And then Blake and Ryan were set to speak at this year's Dayton Hamvention Youth Forum, led by Carol Perry, WB2MGP, that we talk about often on this show. And instead, they're going to be speaking next year because of the pandemic. So we're just going to talk to them a little bit tonight. And again, my apologies if Mark calls in. We're gonna switch to Mark real quick about Huntsville, but and we're going to talk about Huntsville a little bit because Ryan had a real cool story from Huntsville from last year. But I had the pleasure of meeting you all and sitting with your family at Carol Perry's Youth Forum at Huntsville last year, along with Don Wilbanks, AE5DW, and he said, "You got to have these people on your show. You got to get them on." And you know, the more I heard about your story, Andrew, you know, the more I realized that we had a lot in common, and there's a lot of parallels because you and your family became hams together, much like mine. So tell us a little bit about how you all got into ham radio.
All right, I will start it off. So it all began for me when I was in high school. There were some friends of mine that were hams, and so I was able to see their equipment and watch them as they were on the radio. They were advanced level. And definitely, as I share, I got bit by the bug of amateur radio at that point. They helped me out and guided me towards trying to pass that or be prepared for my novice. And I ended up studying. I passed the written, but I did not pass the code portion. Back then, I had the cassette tape. I was a teenager in high school playing sports, and I just obviously did not dedicate enough time to the CW portion. And that is when the no-code technician first came out. I was looking at that, figuring that maybe I could just jam the studying in on it, but at that point in time, it was kind of frowned upon for a ham being a no-coder. So I actually, with that feeling of some pressure, I just stepped out of it and stepped away from it. And then my wife and I had the privilege of making it to EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association. Been wanting to go there my entire life, and finally made it by having the boys. And that was in the summer of 2018. And at EAA, they had this amazing area for all the youth that show up there to go and explore and learn and just have a blast. It's called Kid Venture, and we ended up spending an amazing day at Kid Venture at EAA. And while we were there, waiting to or walking towards one of the other buildings, I saw this old building. It was a solid wooden structure, and I'm like, wow, that looks like an interesting building. And so got closer and was invited in to come take a peek, and it turned out to be an old ham shack that was about 50, 60, 70 years old. And it was still in excellent condition, but what was really cool is it felt like walking into a time machine because they had equipment that dated back to those yesterdecades. And it was very neat seeing the old maps and old QSL cards, just old school amateur radio, and I just started looking at that, and I remembered what captivated me when I was young, and started talking with the guys, and just had a great conversation. Made sure to bring Blake and Ryan in there, and made sure that they were listening and looking and enjoying. And when we walked out, I just had that thought because of knowing what a ham fest was. I'm like, I've got to find a ham fest. And later, after we left, I got home and I jumped on the computer and I was able to find Huntsville Ham Fest. So our oldest son, he's a student. He's now going to be attending Tennessee Tech. He'll be a junior in engineering. And so it was a nice boys, dad and the boys day away. And I said, hey, we're going to go down to this thing called the Ham Fest. Just trust me, we're going to have a great time, and we're going to spend some time together. And we just walked around, and all the excitement that I had when I was youth was back alive again and had a blast. We were able to take Blake and Ryan to the area where they have a kids section where they have all sorts of different activities going on, and they had a wonderful time there. And then we were told that we needed to go to this one room because there was this youth gathering. Well, we went in there, and we got to listen to some youth amateur radio operators that were presenting, and I was just blown away with how intelligent they were, the fact that they were hams, and the excellent presentations that they did. And afterwards, we happened to speak to an amazing woman, Carol Perry, and she was so friendly and so encouraging, and she encouraged us to not only get our license, but she said, don't stop studying until you get your general. So I will just conclude this part with saying that we walked away from there, and I told the boys, we're a homeschool family as well, and I told the boys, I said, hey, when we're done with this year of school, so starting the fall of 18, finishing spring of 19, I said, just trust me, we're going to do this together. And I will take a pause, and I will let the boys now jump in and explain. Well, do you want me to stop right there?
Yeah, no, go right ahead. Let's hear from Ryan and Blake.
Okay.
So this is Blake, and then we finished out that school year, and in early June, we ended, a lot of people, fellow hams and RJ, they had recommended using Ham Test Online. So that is what we used. We sat on the computer, all three of us together. We ran it 2 to 4 hours every day. And once we felt like we were ready to pass it, after a lot of studying, we ended up taking our technician. And when we took our technician, just for the fun of it, we ended up taking our general just to see what would happen and see how many questions we get right from everything we already knew, and from the other percentage that people just get from guessing. We didn't pass, but we weren't surprised. But it was fun doing that. It was a late night. After a few weeks off from passing our technician, I will actually let Ryan say that.
Well, after we finished our technician, we were just practically celebrating and everything, and then we just decided to hop in for our general, since we just decided that it would be a great idea to do that. So we jumped back on the Ham Test Online and did same thing as we did for our tech for general. We relatively in a matter of around 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we actually got ready to take it. So we took our general class, technically exactly 1 month after we took our tech class. And so we were just having a great time. And then since we went to Huntsville that first year, we decided to go again the next year, and it got a little interesting there. But I will just ask and see if you would like to talk about anything right now.
Yeah, we'll save that story for a little bit. But you all have so many parallels to my story, because my dad and I got into ham radio at the same time. He was interested in ham radio in high school, and he never did take the test, and then we ended up doing it together. And so there's just so many parallels between you all that it makes me remember all of those times back when I was 5 years old and did that with my dad. But the funny thing was that my mom, she didn't want anything to do with it. But she couldn't stand not knowing what we were saying in Morse code. So she decided she was going to go to the class, and she was just going to learn the code. She wasn't going to get her license. She wasn't going to take the written test. She wasn't going to do any of that. She was just going to learn how to copy code so she would know what we were saying. Well, she got hooked, and so she a year later ended up becoming a ham too. So what's your mom thinking about ham radio? I mean, there's all this peer pressure going on, and if she were here, I'd ask her about it. And I did that with Bryant Rascal's mom, and she ended up getting her license. So what's mom think about this?
Well, I want to say that Mom would have loved to have been able to be here with us, but she's a flight nurse, and as a matter of fact, the program she works for, not only does she get to work on the rotor wing, the helicopters, but they also have a fixed wing, so an airplane, and I don't know where she's going to right now, but she is somewhere flying in the sky to go go get a patient and bring them back here. And she's going to be taking great care of that patient. So she would have loved to have been here, but duty calls for her. And so with that, I want to say that she enjoys her professional communications. We will just keep hoping that someday she'll want to join us on the ham side of life, but she's really excellent at what she does, and she's really involved in the program. And she supports us just amazingly. So we couldn't have a better partner for us in our ham adventures without her actually being a ham than what we have. So we'll see what the future holds. But what we have is absolutely wonderful. We just hopefully we'll get that cherry on top and have her punch her ticket at some point in the future.
Well, we were talking about CW. We were talking about the code before the show, and maybe that would be the way to get it. Is if you all start doing code and she doesn't know what you're saying, then maybe that'll be it. Well, Jacqueline, whenever you listen to this, we thank you for supporting these guys and their hobby and service and if you decide to do it, we welcome you with open arms. Well, later that day that I met you all after the youth forum, I was about to walk out the door to go actually have dinner with some young hams and the Young Ham of the Year award crowd and all that. And they were getting ready to announce the grand prize, and I turned around and I saw this 10-year-old kid just running up to the stage, all excited that he just won an ICOM IC-7610. So, Ryan, congratulations, because I haven't told you that yet, because I was walking out the door, but tell us all about the big prize.
Okay, well, first of all, I'll just say thanks very much, and it was just all started with, we never really thought that we were going to be there that long. But, so we just, when we were just looking for stuff, we just stuck around and, we just were in the back seeing who won the grand prize. And we're like, okay, let's just see it since we're going to leave soon since it's getting over with. So then, they, call it and they, say the worst, it'll be Christmas in August 4, Ryan. And then, as I said in Ham Nation, okay, there's probably maximum only 10 people who have the name Ryan that are probably hams in this room of good probably 100 people. And then I hear KN4, and then I'm like, there's not really a lot of possibilities that there's ham with the name Ryan and the prefix of their call KN4 that might be still here. And then I hear VKW. And then at that point, since I really didn't know too much about ham radio, I asked my dad, what do I do? And then he says, go run up there. So I run up there. To begin it, I was actually confused what the guy was asking me for. Apparently he was asking me for my ticket that my dad had. So he came up, showed it. So we just won the ICOM 7610 there and got into a frenzy of pictures and stuff. All that, but
now, how cool is that? You get an ICOM 7610 just by being there. That's pretty cool. Blake, what did you think of all of this? And does he let you use the radio?
Yes, he actually does let me use it some of the time. We enjoy using it a lot. During the Dayton contest, I actually made 325 QSOs, and overall in the 10 months that we've been generals, I've made over 800 HF contacts. So I'm very proud of that. We've done a lot of working on the rig. I am a huge fan of QSL cards. I collect a lot of them. I have a lot of them. I'm very grateful. I cherish them all. I do have one out of the States, and that's from Puerto Rico. I'm hoping to get more out of there. I'm looking to get a Brazil and Nicaragua, but I do not know if that will happen. I also really like the ones that are far away. So today in the mail, I actually got one of my Alaska QSL cards that I sent out on the 16th. Apparently, I didn't know it, but I had two Alaska. I knew one person was in Alaska, and I keyed up the mic, and I was like, "Wait, did you say you were in Alaska?" And then he actually talked back and said that I heard him right. His call is Kilo Lima 7 Sierra Bravo. Had a nice contact with him, and then also I contacted a different Alaska ham, but I did not copy his state well, but I later learned that he was in Alaska as well. He's actually in North Pole, Alaska, and I'm hoping to get a QSL card back from him. But I enjoy collecting a lot of them. I also, here in Tennessee, we check into the Tennessee phone net, and I actually have a QSL card from one of, I'm pretty sure it's the Thursday morning session of the Tennessee phone net. I actually have Mark, one of the net control operators QSL cards, Kilo Mike 4 India Zulu Zulu. So that is also another one that I very cherish a lot. But I will send it back to you.
All right. And you need one from Indiana. I need to send you one because I don't know if it was you or Ryan, but I worked one of you two during that Hamvention QSO party. So I'll have to send you a card. I don't always send out cards unless I get one, but you're going to get one. So we'll make sure that you get one from Indiana. Well, it's time for our break. So we're going to take a break right now, but I'll be back with the Pearsons, and we'll take your phone calls and comments and tweets and all that stuff right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Thanks for choosing Tower Electronics. How may we help you today? We have PL259s, we have in connectors, we have SMA adapters, we have BNC adapters. What can I show you today?
Where's the tower?
Well, we don't actually have a tower with us, but we have all kinds of things you can use with a tower. We have power poles, antennas, soldering irons, and meters.
Where's the tower?
Ma'am, that's the name of our company. We can't haul towers to all the Ham Fest across the country that we visit, but we have almost every connector and adapter you would need to connect your antenna that's on your tower.
I don't think there's a tower back there. I really don't.
Tower Electronics. Visit us at a Ham Fest near you or call 920-435-2973 or see our whole catalog at pl-259.com. Sorry, one thing we don't have is a tower.
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live. A clean house is a sign of a broken radio. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics sponsor the show every week right here at Ham Talk Live. They'll be back out on the Ham Fest trail soon. but you can visit them anytime at pl-259.com. That's Tower Electronics. Ham Talk Live's on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at hamtalklive.com. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And it is time for your phone calls in just a minute. But first, we have a special phone call we're going to take. But let me give you the number so you can have it ready. It's 859-982-7373, or you can tweet us at Ham Talk Live. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or on the podcast edition, you won't be able to reach us live since we're recording this on Thursday. So we're going to pause here for just a couple of minutes with the Pearsons. Because Mark Brown, N4BCD, the chairman of the Huntsville Ham Fest, just called in. So, Mark, I know you've released some bad news today, but we understand and we're hopeful for next year. So, tell us all about it, Mark.
Well, good evening, Neil, and to your listeners. Yeah, it's been quite an emotional week, I would say, where we've taken the hard decision to unanimously, the board of directors voted last night to cancel the Huntsville, Alabama Ham Fest. We just saw things were not improving as quick as we all would like, and the risk to the Ham Fest, the vendors, the visitors, the health of the visitor was paramount. Our volunteers too. As we all know, the amateur radio population, we're not all young like your program guest tonight. So we've got to look out for them, and it just didn't make sense. There are so many Ham Fests. I spoke to Bob Inderbitson on the phone sometime this morning, I think it was, and he mentioned that they've added the Ham Fest cancellation to just a tremendously long list of Ham Fest through June, July, August, and even into September on the ARRL website that have canceled. So it's not just Huntsville. Of course, Dayton had to pull the plug. I remember a call from Jack Gerbs on a Sunday preceding their announcement. I called Jack this morning, and his first words were, "Oh, no." I think he knew why I was calling. Mm-hmm. And it's kindred spirits. We hate to do what we did, but it was we know that it's the right decision in the long run. And we'll be back next year. It's going to be a wonderful event. We had a great program last year. Your guest tonight, I want to mention. I've listened to the program here, waiting for the break. The Pearsons, I remember, and I want to thank them for the personal card they mailed after winning that radio some months later. But I did receive that at my home. They live up in Brentwood, Tennessee. I'm down in Fayetteville, Tennessee, but I work down in Huntsville. But I talked with I think it was Don Wilbanks and Bob Heil on Sunday morning of the Ham Fest, and none of us can ever remember a crowd breaking into spontaneous applause over not winning a radio. Seeing the joy on Ryan's face and that of his family of winning the grand prize there on Saturday, it was priceless. We could not have bottled that any better. It just worked out. It was just a wonderful experience, and I'm really glad that they're getting the radio on the air and using it, making contacts. The sky's the limit. We're glad we're able to help that family get started on a good path in ham radio.
Absolutely, and it was. Everybody the crowd erupted, and to see him run up there and waving his arms in the air and go up there and get that radio, I couldn't have been happier, unless maybe it'd have been me. But
yeah.
But it was great.
I've been talking to a lot of folks today, Neil. Actually, just after I got home tonight, Carol Perry called me from New York, where she's sheltering in her big house up there. I think it's Brooklyn, but she's doing well and staying healthy. But she's of course disappointed. A lot of us are disappointed, but we made the right decision to cancel the event. But she'll be back next year also with the youth lounge, the youth forum. She also goes to Dayton, of course, and she does so much for the youth in ham radio. And we were talking about how she had some trouble this year with trying to get folks lined up because the travel restrictions. Parents don't want to release kids. It was a real tough situation on several fronts this year in trying to pull off a Ham Fest. So I think it's the right thing to do is for everybody to regroup, stay healthy, and we'll hit it again in 2021.
Yeah, that it is. And I know, when we had to cancel Yoda Camp this year and postpone it till next year, I was miserable. I hated it, but now that we're getting closer and closer, it's like, yeah, we did the right thing. So
that's right. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, I would echo that.
I remember hearing that in the news.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
before you go,
that would have been your inaugural.
Yeah, so that was the first time, but we do have a plan. We're actually going to announce that soon. We're putting the last of the details together. We have a plan that we're going to get everybody together on a day, and we're going to do some activities and some competitions, and we're going to get a thing together for field day too. So we'll be talking more about that later on. But before you go, Mark, I know you sent me the press release this afternoon. You've got some refund info and hotel reservation info. You want to run through that real quick so people know what's going on with that?
Yeah, sure, Neil. Let me pull that up real quick. The refund. What we decided to do, we're taking a hit on some things, but we just decided that was the right thing to do. The commercial vendors are going to get a full refund. Even the PayPal expenses that they made, or if they paid by a check, commercial vendors will get a full refund. The same with the flea market vendors. Depending on how they paid, that's how we will refund their payments in full. The online ticket buyers, a few. We didn't actively promote online ticket sales, but we do have several that will be, of course, refunding their admission tickets in full. The embassy, a lot of folks stay there at the embassy. I think we had contracted 190 plus room nights on Friday night and Saturday night, and those were all taken. The embassy, with an agreement with us, they are going to just blanket cancel all those hotel reservations. But I encourage everybody who's made a reservation to check in a few weeks on your personal Hilton account or whatever to make sure that reservation is off the books. Don't want to get dinged for being charged for a hotel without canceling. But like I said, embassy should be taking care of those reservations. Other hotels, even the ones we had agreements with, it's going to be up to the individual making those reservations to manually cancel. So that's the long and the short of it. Like I said, we're going to regroup and we'll be back next year.
All right, Mark. Thank you so much. And Pearson's, you have anything you want to chime in here with before Mark takes off?
Well, Mark, it's great to hear your voice. I'm definitely saddened by the news. We're going to Huntsville is definitely a big adventure that we look forward to every year together. But I understand the decision that you made. But glad you got the card, and we really appreciate everything that you and everyone that helps out to make Huntsville be such an amazing Ham Fest do each and every year. So we appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back in 21.
Okay, well, thanks for the kind words, guys, and I'll let you get back to the program. Deal 73.
All right, Mark, thank you so much, and best of luck on 2021, and thanks for putting everything in to try to make it work.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. That's Mark Brown in for BCD, the chairman of the Huntsville Ham Fest, that, again, announced this morning that they are not going to be able to have this year's event. So now that means, Blake, you're not going to be able to win a 7610. At least at Huntsville. Phone number is 859-982-7373, 859-982-7373 if you want to call. If you have a question or a comment for the Pearsons, give us a call, or you can also tweet us at Ham Talk Live. And again, if you're listening to WTWW or the podcast version, you won't be able to reach us, but we'll check those here in a minute and see what you all have to say. So what all have you all been doing on the air, and how do you like that 7610?
Well, I'll start. Well, me and Blake have actually enjoyed ever since a good amount of months ago. We've enjoyed starting calling CQ Yoda, getting us a bunch of contacts. We've enjoyed working that. Personally, I think whenever I want to get DX or along farther away stations, I work 20 meters. But for the majority, I work 40 meters because here the bands are better on 40 meters and I can get a bunch of contacts. But we're just having a great time working the radio. So I will just say that in the contacts we have, especially through Dayton, I was able to get the Dayton General Chairman for 2019-2020. So that was a good contact I made with him. And I also got Bob Heil and one of his friends. So I sent the QSL card in, so I'm hoping to get one back because now that's just sparked my interest to hopefully getting a QSL card from all the Ham Nation people. Anyways, that's about it for me. I'll just see if Blake wants to talk about it.
Yes, as Ryan said, we have been doing a lot of CQ Yoda, actually. My record was set during the Dayton contest. That's when I got 325 CQ Yoda contacts that day. So it was a very fun and enjoyable day. As I said earlier, so far in the past 10 months, I have over 800 HF contacts. And on June 6th, so in 2 days, we'll get Kentucky, which during the Kentucky QSO party, I hope I should. Then I will officially have all 50 states. So I'm hoping that I get Kentucky. And that is a major goal that I need to get. But also, we have an amazing time on the Yacht Youth Net every Saturday at 7 p.m. Central on Echo Link. There's also one where the kids can also join in, but it's more of an anyone Yacht Net. That's the one on Tuesdays at the same time, 7 Central. But we enjoy checking into the nets and doing everything we do.
All right, very good. Well, let's see what we have here. First of all, John W4USF down in Florida says it takes 4 hams to get a club call sign. So there's more pressure on getting Jacqueline in there so you can have a family club. Yeah, get mom involved and you can have your own family ham club. Well, there are a few of those out there. So, boy, we're putting the pressure on Jacqueline again. Well, let's see. Jacob KG7EQN asks a question I get every once in a while. How do you balance introducing ham radio to your children without pushing them away? How do you come up with family radio activities and plan them? So I want to hear your answer on that one.
Well, a lot of times the boys, they just work it out between themselves who's going to jump on the radio, and that always makes it easy. The only time we've really had a difficulty where they have not, and I can't say where they haven't played nice, but where it really wasn't going to work out for the two of them was for this Dayton QSO party, because this was a sentimental one. This would have been our first trip up to Dayton and would have been a big one for for the boys. And it was important to me to make sure that both of them could still participate on that day like they were supposed to in Dayton. And so that's where RJ, KC4LRR, our Elmer, came in, and he saved the day as he regularly does for us. And he let Ryan go over to his house and jump on his radio, and then Blake stayed at home on the 7610, and what a day. They both ended up working the radios hard, and both of them had about 325 contacts that day. And so, Jacob, I'm very lucky. These boys, they are team players. The majority of the time, we homeschool together. We go to church together. We do ham radio together. We're a baseball family, and fortunately, Ryan's 11, Blake's 12. So they've been generally able to play on the same team together because Ryan's a great ball player like Blake, but Ryan's able to be good enough where he can play up with his brother. And so that's worked out pretty well. So all I can say is that we're just blessed beyond my understanding by God that, we're able to do what we do and that it works as well as it does.
That's a fine answer. and I think, pushing people into ham radio is probably not quite the way to do it. And, when people ask me about school clubs, it's, we introduce it, we explain what it is, we show them what you can do with it, we get them on the air and have them do it, and then they want to get their license so they can do it on their own, and instead of pushing the test. And that's something I learned from, you guessed it, Carol Perry, WB2MGP, who was one of my mentors in teaching ham radio in schools, was, you don't worry about the test. You teach the technology, and you get them to have fun with it and go from there. So that's a good strategy. So do y'all have any aspirations of learning some new modes, learning some new things to do with ham radio?
Well, I'll be the one to answer that question, just because I came up with it. So instead of going to Dayton, ICOM sent us this box, and we got some pretty cool stuff, like a hat. We got this cool jacket, a very nice backpack. But one of the main ones is me and Blake got a new ICOM ID51A digital radio. So now we're probably going to be learning the new subject of digital ham radio. But we'll probably be getting into D-Star, digital. I don't know about AM/FM, but probably that as well. I just know all the phrases, digital, D-Star, AM/FM. But anyways, we'll probably be getting into that, learning about that. But that's one thing new. And me and Blake are hoping to get into RCW and working it on the air. Just have to keep practicing and get used to all the copying it and then sending it out. But I will send it to Blake and see what he has to say.
Yeah, so we've also actually, another mode that we've been able to do is we've done PSK 31 a little bit. We actually did use PSK 31 during our winter field day here, our WCARES group. We operated portable. We set up stations, and we had an SSB station, a CW, and a digital PSK station, so we got to work that. That was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed doing that a lot, and we also got to work FT8 and FT4. I made a few contacts actually at the Huntsville Ham Fest next to the youth area. There was a person there that was actually operating digital modes, and people there got to sit back with them and learn how to do it and have a nice conversation while trying to make a few contacts. So that was pretty fun, and that has been, we've also set up some of the PSK on our radio, so I haven't made a contact with it yet, but I'm hoping to do that soon. But anyways, those are some of our experiences with the other digital modes.
Very cool. Well, Troy, W9KVR says you could get a club call if you're homeschooled, and we have those in School Club Roundup, and that's one of the things that Troy and I both are pretty big into is School Club Roundup, and you can be considered a school as a homeschool, so we'll have to get you into his school club roundup. And Troy also says slow scan television is kind of fun. His daughters like doing that, so maybe that's something else you could try. And let's see, you had one more. Yeah.
I think we need to edit that part out of this so that my wife doesn't hear that, because I really like the idea of needing to have her join us to be able to have it. But no, I appreciate that, Troy. That's wonderful, but darn it, that just worked against us.
Oh, we've got one more here. Carl KD9HQT says his father is his Elmer, and got him into ham radio, as many people experience. And he didn't understand it for a long time, but he had some videotape when he was a baby on the same chair that's in his ham shack in '93. So it all worked out. So he's got quite the history with the cousin and his dad and grandfather. So yeah, we're the Ham families. That happens quite a bit. Well, we're going to wrap things up here tonight, but let me give you one final chance to make some comments here before we go, and I will say it's been great having you on. I was glad to meet you, and I was actually right down the road from you all last weekend. I didn't even put two and two together, but it was great to meet you, and I would wish we could have seen each other at Dayton and now Huntsville, but we will next year. So we'll see you then. So if you've got any final thoughts, why go right ahead.
Well, I just want to say thank you again, Neil, for reaching out to us. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share this story, this memory, and we're definitely encouraged by people like you, and we're just so excited to be able to be in amateur radio, and we appreciate all of you that have been before us that are helping us out and encouraging us and keeping us motivated to moving forward and learning and growing and sharing with others. And we definitely look forward to being able to meet you in person as soon as that happens.
Well, I would just say thank you very much for having us on this program. And I will just say 73s and thank you very much.
This is also, thank you very much, Mr. Neal, for having us on. We had a great time and hope to be back on, and I'll say 73s to you as well.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being on tonight, and we wish you the best of luck, and I have a feeling that we're going to have some extra class operators here before long, too. So we'll put the pressure on you all, too, as well as Mom. But it wouldn't surprise me a bit that the next time I see you, you're an extra. So we'll see how that goes. But look forward to that and seeing some of the Youth on the Air stuff, too. So we're going to wrap this up for tonight. So that's it for this edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guests, Andrew, KN4VKX, Ryan, KN4VKW, and Blake, KN4VKY, and everybody out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in and typing in, and invite you back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And for a list of all of our upcoming guests, and if you want to order a shirt, go over to hamtalklive.com. And if you like the show, please leave us a review. That helps other people find the show faster. So we'll sign off for tonight. For now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and as always, may the good DX be yours.